And on behalf of the Chamber, I'm happy to introduce our Chamber Talk. And this is Seth Feuer from Compass.
Good morning, everybody. So a couple of things that were left out. Karen is also the one that twisted my arm and kicked me a couple of times to be here today. Thank you, Erin. That's one of the lesser jobs. And because there are prospective members here, as well as some longtime members, I just want to acknowledge the Chamber staff because the services they provide, the introductions, the support that we get as I'm council chair, that we get as council chairs and everything else, it's really fantastic. It's a great organization. I hope that you find value in what Jordan and I bring to you today, and what the Chamber can bring to you, and hopefully we'll see you around more often if you're not already a member. So, good morning. My name is Seth Feuer. I am a realtor, director of luxury sales at Compass. I'm going to actually allow Jordan to get a little to Compass later. I'll just stick with my credentials for the moment. I am also with Jordan, I'm the co-founder and principal of a team called Miami Beach Advisors. I happen to also be the co-chair of the Real Estate Council at the Chamber. Anyone involved with the real estate industry, not just realtors, so you know, your firm would probably be a terrific thing. We do our councils the first Tuesday of every month, 8 o'clock in the morning, really robust, dynamic conversations. Last month we did it at Nike. We had the director for the Lincoln Road Business Improvement District speaking, really fun, interactive, involved events. And you got discounts at Nike, which they never get. So worth coming, plus door prizes. I'm also a member of the Pillow Board at the Chamber. I'll tell you a little bit about my history, and I'm not talking so much so about Miami Beach today as much so about my practice and real estate. But one of the things that I hope that you pull from what I speak about is no matter wherever you go, you are your brand. So I started my career as a consultant, and it helps me a lot in my real estate practice. One of the things that always comes to mind is, I've heard this many times, God's given you two ears and one mouth for a reason, so you can listen twice as much as you speak. While I can't say I always practice that, the gold in it is that when you really listen to what people are saying, you can match what's available for them and make a sale, because that's what we're here for. So I started my career as a consultant. I was actually an internal consultant with Royal Caribbean prior to them acquiring Celebrity for those in the luxury markets. LVMH was a big brand for us and all their little product lines. I then went to KPMG as a project manager. From there I went to Ernst & Young. They were acquired by Capgemini. I became a manager with Capgemini. I've specialized in program and project management. I had clients all around the world, actually, American Home Products, American Classic Voyages, Alfarma, Coca-Cola. My favorite and biggest project I ever managed was for a company called Alfarma. We were based in Copenhagen. I had 90 people from 27 countries reporting to me. Really exciting. I was there for 3 weeks, and then I was lucky to get home for 5 days for the month. And I got to go to all these great places along the way. In 2001, I was laid off after September 11th. Actually, my last day on my project was September 11th. Couldn't get home for a week, which was kind of fun. I got to visit some friends in Europe. Anyway, after that, I did a couple of small projects as an independent consultant. One of the projects I did was for an organization called the Day Human Rights Foundation. We had a recognition dinner honoring Hillary Clinton, who was the senator in New York at the time. And it was the first time I really got neck deep in community involvement. And the relationships that spawned for me were amazing. To this day, I'm really good friends with a lot of the people. I'm still involved at a leadership level with some of the organizations. And it was just a really great springboard for me to other things. Actually, from there, I was hired by FIU to be a project manager for the South Beach Wine and Food Festival. It was, I think, the second or third, I think it was the second year they were doing it. And I actually got to put together the volunteer program that the students got to actually volunteer and do stuff at the festival. So it was a months-long program where they planned what they were going to be doing those days and then they executed it. So it was really a great way for people studying food and wine and hospitality to put their skills to work. The program was actually featured in the Herald a couple of years later, so that was pretty cool. One day, one of my friends twisted my arm and said, "Come on, we're going to real estate school." And I was like, "No, we're not." "Yes, we are." "No, we're not." And anyway, I ended up going with him, and I fell into this fantastic industry, which I've now been in for 15 years. When I started my real estate career, I worked for a company called EWM Realtors. They're a fantastic company. They're still around. Anyone new to the business, I will say that they have a fantastic training program, and it's a company really worth taking a good, long, hard look at. Every company I've worked for has brought great things to me, to my career. That company is like a family. One of my colleagues passed away a few years ago. I went to the funeral, and it was like I just remembered all the great stuff that they did, and to this day I still visit the office and have tons of friends there. From there I went to Sotheby's. It was just a natural progression, just for the type of real estate that I do. I'll get into that shortly. I spent about, I think, 5 years, about 6 at Sotheby's. Fantastic company, amazing global network. I went to Douglas Elliman for a very short while. It wasn't really in alignment with how I do things and my practice, and it's a great firm. It just wasn't for me. And that happens in life. If you're not home somewhere, you move on to somewhere else that is. But all along the way, while I was at Elliman, there was a company that I'd heard about called Compass. The person that I worked for most of my real estate career, and still do to this day, Beth Butler, was actually the chief operating officer at EWM. She became the president of Sotheby's to grow it to what it was, and then she started Compass. She was actually at Compass when I was still at Sotheby's, and I kind of wanted to get there. Ultimately did, and I'll let Jordan talk about the company now. In fact, I'm going to introduce Jordan quickly and let him say a couple of things about Compass. And
cool.
Your slides are up.
Yeah, no worries. So as Seth said, Seth and I founded Miami Beach Advisors I guess just under a year ago, with the intention of kind of bringing an advisory approach to our real estate business. Seth's background and my background in data analysis and operations and startup tech companies kind of blended itself really to being advisors to our clients. And so we kind of emulate that in our practice day to day. But specifically about Compass itself, so a little bit about the company. We just had our 5th year anniversary a few months ago. Compass is somewhat of a unique model in today's world in the sense that it's a hybrid between a traditional real estate brokerage and a startup tech company. And what that means, what that translates to, is kind of threefold. The first is, in terms of national presence, in 5 years at this point today, we have 40 offices in 10 major markets across the United States. We have roughly around 2,000 agents nationwide, with, as of this year, 100% year-over-year growth in our revenues. And really what that stems from is the tech tools and the marketing tools that we provide to our agents to allow them to be more efficient and process transactions faster. Basically, we're trying to take all the logistical administrative tasks out of agents' days to let them do what they do best, which is networking, pitching clients, and selling. What that also results in is that agents typically, when they move over to Compass, see generally a 25% average increase in their first year at the company in terms of business. And so the question then becomes is, how do you expand to 10 major markets and 40 offices in 5 years? And really what this comes from is the startup tech valuation piece of our company. So we just raised another $550 million 2 months ago, putting us at a $2.2 billion valuation. It was raised primarily from SoftBank, which I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about. They're a very, very large conglomerate from Japan. They have a $93 billion vision fund, which is purely a tech investment fund. Japan, they've done Uber, Alibaba, Lyftcart, tons of companies like that. But to date, total, we've raised $775 million from them, Fidelity, IVP, a bunch of other investors, Salesforce was one that we brought up. CEO of Salesforce is one of the investors as well. And so that's really allowed us, number one, to build out this national presence. Number two, to keep on staff over 60 engineers full-time that build products for our agents and build new technologies that help us leverage and utilize that. And third, build a best-in-class team, which is kind of this next piece when we get to it, of executives, creative minds, really unbelievable superstars from across multiple industries to really come and help revolutionize our product and what we're putting out on a day-to-day basis.
I don't know how to make this smaller.
That's okay.
Somebody else knows.
So these are some of the CEOs. It was really founded by two main founders, Robert Refkin. He was the chief of staff to the CEO of Goldman, as well as a McKinsey background. And Ori Alone, he's a tech entrepreneur who sold, I believe, 2 companies to Twitter, became head of engineering on Twitter, left, met Robert, founded Compass, and then sure enough, everything kind of spiraled from there. And now that's where kind of we are today.
So that's a little bit about Compass and our fantastic firm. Let's see if I can get back to my notes.
Seth, will you take a question while you look?
Sure.
So what's the worst mistake you ever made in marketing a property and what did you learn?
That was an easy question. Thanks, Aaron. The worst mistake I ever made in marketing a property. Sometimes you can't listen to your clients. I just lost a close to a $3 million listing from a friend. The property we put on the market at the end of season just about 2 years ago. And I said, this is really a bad time to go on the market. The market is already slowing, and this is something that a seasonal person or something. Anyway, we listed at the end of the summer. We listed at the end of season, and we went through a long, horrible summer. Not expecting much, and whatever. And just as season approached, when we thought we would be getting busier and stuff, the property was listed because the seller purchased a house in Fort Lauderdale, and he decided he doesn't want to be in Fort Lauderdale anymore. He wants to come back to Miami Beach. And so he's going to sell the house in Fort Lauderdale and move back to Miami Beach. So I said, all right, what do I do with the listing? Do I take it off the market? Do you want me to keep it on the market? Should I keep pushing it? No, keep it on the market. Should I push it? No, don't push it. Just let it sit. So I let it sit. Again, went through the whole season. It was priced okay, but it just was a bad season, so we didn't expect much. He sold his house in Fort Lauderdale in May. Now he wants to sell the condo. So now I have my second long hot summer to go through. Anyway, I lost the listing in December on my birthday. I'm coming down with a stomach virus. It was just like the worst day of my life, literally. Got home after all of this and there's a violation notice on my door. It was really a fun day. But anyway, the point of this was like, okay, don't always listen to the clients, push. So one of the things that, that is really important to me with my business is that I do focus on the clients and, just being in alignment where they are. There is no script to do the right thing for every, the same thing each time with each person. You really have to tweak your marketing machine and your plans and how you react to people, Text messages is a great example. Some people love text messages. Some people like the phone. I had a client this year for the first time in my entire real estate career to actually ask me to put something in the mail to them, a brochure to send something to their sister who lives in Brickell. And I'm just like, doesn't she have email? Yes, but okay, this is what the client wants. So anyway, that was my most expensive lesson. So a little bit about our services. Jordan and I do, what all realtors do, buyers and sellers. We specialize mostly in waterfront homes and condos on Miami Beach, although we do have a pretty good grasp all around the greater Miami area. Jordan's very adventurous. He seems to like to go up to Palm Beach County and Fort Lauderdale from time to time to show properties, and all the more power to him. But you know, we know what to take on and what not to. We don't often say no to working with people. It's just, as Wendy was saying earlier, you know, you just don't know who that person is attached to. If it's something that we can't service well, we'll find the right person for them to work with them. You know, occasionally we will turn someone away, but more often than not, that's just how we operate. We do work with leases from time to time, landlords and tenants both. In a market like this, you really have to be flexible, because I have a pretty good high-end inventory on the market right now, but it's not moving. My sellers are all third homeowners, and they don't want, you know, if they get their price, we'll sell it. So, you know, they're well above where they should be to make a sale happen in a market where there's not a lot happening. So you've got to learn to work with all of this. So, you know, when business is slow, you do a little bit more than sometimes you may not do. And, you know, we have a terrific team and different resources is in place, which most realtors do, to make sure that people are handled as we want them to be handled. We really offer concierge type services. We tweak what we do to the individual. We make it work really well for them. A lot of people we work with aren't here. So we end up having to take on property management from time to time, you know, finding someone to fix something. Or I had to run to a short-term rental a few months ago to teach someone how to use a remote control. I mean, it was just so easy, but you know, you have to do it. You know, it's funny, sometimes people say, why do you do the rental things? I actually have made more money off of that short-term, it's not a short-term rental, it's a seasonal one, but I've made more, probably by 2 to 3 times from the renting of that unit than I did from the commission when I first sold it to the people. And it's at the continuum, so it was a sizable property. So again, all-inclusive concierge service, we're connectors. You know, whatever the clients want, we'll connect the people to. We're not just property managers or an appraiser, but you know, whatever it is, if it's a private chef, if it's someone to, you know, drive people around, you know, whatever our clients might need, we'll be there for them. Our typical clients, as I said before, are second and third homeowners. We do work with some executives, relocations, a lot of investors. I would say 85 to 90% of my clients come from the tri-state area. I've kind of dubbed that the Golden Triangle. Most of them live in Manhattan, maybe Greenwich. They have weekend places in the Hamptons and winter places at Miami Beach. So we're really excited to hopefully see that market start to get a little more busy again in the next year or two. Most of our clients do come from referrals. A lot of that. Past clients, just industries, the chamber, websites, community involvement. And we are seeing even some stuff now through Trulia and Zillow. That's a whole different beast, which other realtors in the room know. I was asked to give some photo tips, if that's interesting to everyone. Yes, no, I can skip on to the next. Neutral, okay, cool. Photography is really the core of what we do, mostly, especially the listings. Great photography sells, not great photography doesn't. So it can make or break a listing. We use a professional every time, regardless of the listing. It's the only way to sell. It's your brand, as I said earlier. Everything has to be consistent. So even if it's $150,000, you know, little walk-up apartment in South Fifth, it's going to have the same photographer as a $5 million house that we might be listing. It's important to know which tools to use for each listing. So a little $150,000 property in the Art Deco district might just get a photographer and maybe a slide motion camera. Something on the water, you're going to want to get some drone aerial footage, you know, possibly some still shots and video, things like that. Slide mount cameras are something new that we're seeing in the industry. I'll give you a quick sample in a second. And then we also use single listing websites. In fact, Wendy, if you want to just do the 702 South, Capri South Beach 702.com, just like 30 seconds of it is fine. This is a great example of a video that we've done. It includes photos, it includes some slow motion. And here we go. This is on a single listing website. So this particular listing has its own URL. On it, you'll get pictures, you'll get the videos, you can schedule a showing, you can get in contact with us. And the internet doesn't seem to be a feature. And it's Jordan's favorite song, by the way, if and when it starts. Okay, if it starts, we'll make it go.
Did it go when you loaded it before?
I didn't try it on that computer.
Oh.
It's not make or break, it's okay.
Just continue and then
Yeah.
see what happens.
So, again, I'm going to go back to branding. And what is it, the one thing that we do? It's a bunch of things, but together it's that one thing that we do that differentiates us. When I started in the business, I made the commitment to take real estate on as a professional. Working in professional services when I was a consultant, I got trained a certain way with a certain amount of vigor. It's funny, people normally accuse me of being an attorney, no offense, Aaron. You know, it's just, but it's the training that I had, and you know, I do bring that to my real estate practice. I think it's a differentiator, especially with the caliber of clients that we work with. Real estate is the biggest investment most people are going to make in their lives. And you know, they having a good advisor to provide the information they need to make that decision is critical. When I started in the business, I learned the market. I actually was one of the original Team Zilbert people, if that means anything to anyone, but websites were a new thing in the industry at the time, and Zilbert had a website with condos on it, and I took that opportunity to learn all the buildings, the floor plans, the amenities, you know, even the rules. You know, it sounds like something silly, but a lot of our clients want places that they're going to use a couple of times through the year and try to keep it rented. Well, there's not a lot of buildings on the beach that allow shortage on rentals. So all of these things are important. I'm a floor plan geek. I can actually probably draw most of the floor plans in the buildings that I work with, which is crazy. I used to be a lot better with numbers, and I used to know the square feet for each of them. But I have a database with about 2,500 floor plans in it, just from going through all of these exercises through the years. I became the go-to person in the office for condos, and whenever someone had a question about what was going on in a building or wanted to get the floor plans, I was the person in the office that they came to. It's kind of held its place up until my condo plans came out, which is a whole different thing. So here's a sample of some of our marketing. So this is video,
Oh, it's playing. It's just
and that would be a slide motion camera where it's still, but there still appears to be some movement. That would be video.
You have more volume?
I'm certain we do. I don't know how to adjust the volume.
You got it?
It's a soundtrack, it's okay.
It's only your favorite song.
So this is, you know, the slide motion makes it a little bit more interesting. Then you'll see that there's little bits of video here and there to jazz it up. So like you'll see when you get to the gym, there's a guy on the rowing machine. You will see ripples in the water. So there's some motion for you. We have a listing up in Normandy Isle, Iris on the Bay, and we actually use the video with this motorized blinds going up and down. It just gives some life to the videos. So just a sample of some of our marketing. Back to our story here. I created data tables for the floor plans and the square feet and stuff, which is, you know, this becomes a resource now for other realtors, as well as for our clients, just helping them find things. And one of the things that I did with my practice was I applied my consulting skills to this, which is a dangerous thing to do in this industry because there's a lot of options and you don't want to throw too many at your clients, but again, listening, understanding your clients' needs and saying this is what's available. It's a hard market. People come to you, have $2 million, they want a brand new condo with a beautiful ocean view. There's not a lot of Miami Beach that fits that bill, believe it or not. It just doesn't exist. And you know, when you tell someone that, it's like, no, there's not a lot like that. It's really been an amazing phenomenon. A lot of my approach to working with clients is when I speak with them, with my clients initially on the phone, it's an interview. You know, they're not ready for that, but it's an interview. It's a lot of questions. Yeah, I know you want a 2-bedroom condo on the beach, but tell me what you're going to do when you're here. You know, are you beach people, or you know, are you here really more for the culture and the nightlife, and you're going to be playing golf all the time? Because now, if you're playing golf all the time and you really aren't going to the beach, maybe a beautiful new condo on the bay with a beautiful baby was better for you. So, again, just interviewing the clients and finding out what their real needs are helps to get to where you're going to go. I don't consider myself a salesperson. I worked with someone for many, many years. His name is Kevin, and he used to say, we're not salespeople, we're purveyors of information. And that really resonated with me because that's what we are. We provide information to clients. We have to understand what they want, but now we can say this is what's important to you. My clients are a lot smarter than I am. They're really successful, amazing people that have done big things in their companies and in the world. And I can't outsmart them. I can only give them what's available and hopefully help them make the right decision for themselves. Continuously going through educational classes, Jordan as well. We go to conferences. I go to Inman Connect usually once a year, sometimes twice. The Florida Realtor Convention. There's free classes at the Miami Association of Realtors that are available, and a lot of my colleagues don't take advantage of it, but all of this just helps me just enhance my toolkit. Another thing that I do is I committed myself to community service. So I told you my story earlier about getting started with the Date Human Rights Foundation. I still am very involved with a lot of things. I sit on a board in one of the condos that I own. I'm on the city's citizen police Relations Council now. I was on the Affordable Housing Advisory Council for about 4 years. I just was rolled off of that to get onto Citizens Police. It's a lot easier being on police. Affordable housing is such an important thing for us. It's so hard to do anything. If there's anyone that wants to get involved, please do make a difference. And then I'll tell you a very quick story about, again, listening to clients and connecting the dots with them. I had a friend who was a client who became a friend, which is most of our clients do, calls me up one day and says, I want to refer someone to you, but they're only looking for a short-term rental. No problem, I'm happy to speak with them. As I said, you never know who you're going to speak with and who they're connected to. And I spoke with the person, really neat lady, and she said, I'm thinking about maybe moving to Miami down the road. I want to rent next season and see how I like it. I want to come in one day and get a lay of the land. Do you mind helping? I'm like, of course not. Make a date, let me know. So she made a date. It was May, and she wanted to see in one day Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, downtown Miami, Edgewater, south of Fifth, Miami Beach proper. Okay. As the Pope says, who am I to judge? And whatever. So whatever it takes. I figured I'll show her 1 or 2 condos in the different places and make a day of it. So I picked her up at the airport, 9 o'clock Monday morning. I got a call late Sunday night that my first appointment at the Ritz-Carlton in Coconut Grove canceled. They sold the unit, they didn't want to show up, not even backup, no, not even for backup. Thanks for the short notice, okay. So I picked the client up and I said our first appointment canceled. I didn't have to show her anything in the Grove. I knew she wasn't going to rent or buy there. I'm sorry, in the Gables, so we just drove through the Gables quickly. And Park Grove had just launched sales, which is a really cool condo in Coconut Grove. So I called up one of the salespeople I knew there. I said, hey, I need a favor. I know it's last minute, but I have a client that's coming in. They were kind of interested in the Ritz-Carlton. Park Grove might be okay, but would you mind doing a demo or sales presentation for us? Sure, no problem. So I brought the client there, and we went through the sales presentation. And after, a 20-minute presentation, she says, do you have any questions? The salesperson says to her, so she starts asking questions. And as I said, my clients are a lot smarter than me. She starts asking questions, and I'm just sitting there floored. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this lady is like wicked smart. And I'm just like, let's just let her go. And this went on for like 20, 30 minutes. And I'm just like, it's going well, just shut my mouth. We got in the elevator and she looks at me. She goes, what made you bring me here? And I said, listening to you speak and, matching this to where you might want to go eventually and other things. This was a really neat place. And we couldn't get you to the Ritz-Carlton. And the closest I can get you to the Ritz-Carlton without getting you into the Ritz-Carlton was the sales office because we could look right down at the Ritz-Carlton. She said, Seth, it's perfect. I want to put in an offer. So my one-day short-term rental thing for 9 months down the road actually became a true sale. She bought a $3 million condo at a 6% commission. So again, if you listen, to what your clients are looking for, and you can match it to what's available, great things happen. So, that's the story for you. I'll just give you a couple of tenets of our business, how we work, and I don't want the day to go on, this to go on for too long. We're very flexible. We work with our clients as they want to be worked with. We're committed to what's best for our clients, whether it's a $250,000 condo or a $15 million waterfront house. They get the same level of service. We're open. We're honest. We contribute. If we don't know something, we tell people we don't know something, and we find out the answers for them. We connect them to the people that are going to get them the right answers if need be. We're not mortgage specialists. Yeah, I can tell you roughly what a $10 million mortgage is going to cost you per month, but I want to connect you to Michael Goldberg because he's going to be giving you the best answers and the best options. Michael's great. I had a couple of clients that we've spoken with and we've done things with where they found a place they love, but they had to sell their place, and they have a great cross-collateralization product. So the client can actually make a purchase of the place they really need and keep that going until the place is sold. So having the right resources and the chamber, this is all going to work for you. We follow up, we provide information all along the way, standard stuff. We do the right thing each and every time. Sometimes it costs us a sale, it doesn't matter, we did the right thing. We have fun, we make the process fun, we try as much as possible. Sometimes it's not, but we do the best that we can. A quick story for that, I actually, through, again, the Human Rights Foundation, I made a relationship with a very prominent attorney in town who actually now refers business to me when he has real estate. They have guardians for people that aren't able to handle their affairs. So they put a guardian in place, and I had one a few years ago. This was great. The person who owned the property was an elderly lady. She was French. She was completely, and someone did something unethical. They slipped information to me they shouldn't have, that this woman actually went after someone with a knife once. And I hadn't even met them yet. Anyway, I had to go to the building for the first time with the guardian, and the screaming between them and the carrying on and whatever. But it was, the woman was fascinating. Once I got rid of the guardian, the woman was the nicest thing in the world to me. And, it was just, we really had a great transaction, even with the craziness with the woman. And, it's sad when, she's going to a home and she's asking you questions and you can't answer this. But, again, community service, it goes back and just working with everyone however they need to be worked with. We engage at all levels of the business, no matter what. We give it our full attention. And again, I said this earlier, we make an effort at servicing each and every client. We give back. That's one of the most important pillars of our business. We're involved in so many different things. Jordan and I, Jordan's with the Jewish Federation. Jewish Community Services, excuse me. He serves as one of the leaders with the Chamber's Millennium Action Council, amongst other things. As I said earlier, I did give you my examples. I don't need to rehash them. I'm also on the United Way of Miami-Dade's Professional Advisors Council. That's why I'm dressed like this today. It's not for you, I'm sorry. Aaron actually is going to be my guest today for that. That's a really exciting thing. I did a volunteer project a couple of weeks ago where we actually helped improve some of the homes for people that are in a halfway house. So my job was to actually put lines up. And it was really cool just hearing the stories of the people that were there, how they got there. Channel 7, of course, Channel 7 came that day, and I was on the news that night. It was fun. The Real Estate Council I spoke about, we do some great things at the Real Estate Council. Please come to them. They're
Second
really
Tuesday of the month.
Second Tuesday of every month. They really are great to attend. We also have two great programs. One is the City National Bank Better Beach Awards, which are happening this spring. Your invitation should be in the email shortly. So please come to that. They're pretty cool.
Not on their mail.
Not in email. No. And we do a luncheon in the fall, the annual real estate luncheon. Jordan will up with the Advocacy Council.
So Seth, I asked you to give us a prediction about Miami real estate in the next 6 months, which you've turned me down. So I'll ask you a question for this group, which is, what, in the last 15 years that you've been involved, what's the biggest change you saw in the Miami Beach real estate market, and how has that affected the way that you do your services for clients?
So the biggest change that I've seen in the 15 years, I've been through 2 cycles already, ups, downs, ups, downs. The biggest change that I've seen were over the last 3 to 4 years, where the people from New York that normally come in to buy and do things, they've really slowed down their buying. Initially, we attributed to what was going on with the presidential election and uncertainty in the financial markets. Now that things kind of settled down in some ways, you know, we're still waiting to see what happens. There is so much inventory on the market right now that I think buyers are almost afraid to pull the trigger. There's a lot of activity, there's people out shopping. This is when we start to see things go to contract, and you'll start to see more activity in the MLS, so this is the time now where we're going to see where the rubber meets the road. But again, there's so much inventory that it's, you know, when you look at our numbers, they don't make sense, it's hard to predict. I will tell you, under $1 million in that market, there's movement. You know, if you price a property to sell, it will sell, even if it's north of $1 million. You know, if you price well, there are buyers. But the traction just isn't there at the moment. I think we'll be fine, I really do. And that was the biggest change, I think. The other thing that's changing a lot are truly Zillow and having different ways that our market, how our listings are sent out to people, and how people are seeing things. We're working with a significant buyer at the moment. The first time they came in was last spring, and aside from the properties that I showed them, they had to go onto Trulia to find properties. So, you know, because they wanted to see things they wanted to see, and, you know, again, what I said earlier about not listening to clients, we actually dropped most of the things we wanted to show, and we showed them everything they wanted to see, and very little of it made sense for them. They were here last week, and they did it our way this time, and I got a really nice message from the people at the end of the weekend. Wow, this makes a lot more sense to us. But you know, when you see, they actually would like to purchase a particular house, but they'd like that house to be on a different piece of land. Now imagine looking at $25 million houses and not having something perfect to sell them, you know. This is the market we're in. So, you know, they'll make a decision, they will purchase something. And
So, Seth, first of all, I want to thank you for a great presentation this morning. Let's give him a hand. I wanted to just, you know, recap some of the notes that I was making. Whoop, where did they go? You know, things that Seth brought out that maybe you didn't actually write down, but he gave you quite a few business tips that are applicable in no matter what business you happen to be in. One thing I heard him say was, learn to listen very well. God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Learn to listen twice as much as you speak, because that's how you learn with your customer